Sassy lady says, being in midlife, each partner has their own established life. So that's what they want together can be some, wait, being in midlife, each partner has their own established life. So what they want together can be something special without marriage. Life partners while keeping individuality alive. You know what? That's an interesting comment, Sassy. And I want to address this. Because, see, this is a really critical point here. Each people in midlife, you have your established life, they have their established life, okay? This is the challenge with midlife is how do you fit this into that, particularly in lifestyles, particularly in values, and particularly in emotional maturity. So let's look at values. Remember I said earlier, I think it's important to identify your key values. Now, first off, honesty, integrity, trust. I mean, I call those a given. In other words, that's already needed there. You don't need to focus on that. But what is your core value? For example, if health is your core value, I mean, really healthy lifestyle is a core value, and you meet someone who eats bonbons and garbage all day long, you're going to have a problem with that person because your value is health. Your value is health. I know in my life, one of my core values is personal development, self-help, spirituality, even therapy in there. In other words, growth, individual growth is one of my highest values. And if someone is simply looking for attraction, entertainment, romance, and physical connection, then that doesn't line up with my value. No disrespect in my last relationship, we were misaligned in this area. For her greatest passion was to see the world. She looked at it from the physical aspect, and I look at it from the emotional aspect. We had two gigantic different values in our lives, and ultimately that ended up being the deal breaker for her. You know, having that shared passion in your values at midlife is the glue that keeps it together, There was, by the way, in her case, there was more to it. It had to do with family and some other things in there. So there was not a misalignment, but there was a geographic misalignment between us as well. Okay, blending lives. Ultimately, look, if you meet someone who has a busy lifestyle and they're so fully curated in their lifestyle that they only have a few hours a week to spend with you, you've got to ask yourself, does that work for you? I can't tell you how many women come to me for coaching, and the lifestyle that they have is so radically different than the other person's lifestyle that yes, they might see each other on occasional, but it's a casual part-time relationship. Ultimately, if you want the relationship to go the distance, you have to be able to blend your lives together in such a way, eventually be able to blend your lives together. And that doesn't necessarily mean having to get married or live together. It simply means being able to build teamwork with one another. And ultimately, isn't the point of a midlife relationship, aren't we looking for someone to grow old with and die with? Then you have to be willing to go all in together. And this is what requires emotional maturity and good communication skills. And sadly, most human beings have poor emotional maturity. They are still deeply wounded from their past relationships or their childhood trauma that causes them to be problematic in relationship. They don't have good relationship skills. And this is the hard part to vet for in the early stages of dating. This is why you have to ask deeper questions early on. Are they still hung up on their ex? Do they still have a resistance to commitment? Do they have an abandonment issue? Do they have rejection issues? These are questions that must be answered early on because these are going to be the problems later on down the road. And certainly before the penis ever goes inside the vagina, it's important to establish what's the purpose of this relationship? What's the purpose of this relationship? Are we looking to build a life together? Or are we just looking to be, entertain, romance, and have physical connection? This is why my dating vows is so critically important. By the way, there's a link below to get my dating vows, but these are agreements that you make with one another in the early stage of dating just to see if you're on the same page. And while this isn't a guarantee, it's better than doing nothing, ladies. And the dating vows go like this. I agree to explore the process to getting to know you from a truthful place, with the intent to declare something serious within the next 3 to 6 months. I agree to be monogamous sexually while we're having regular sex together. I agree not to actively seek to meet and date others while we're in the dating process, including taking down our dating profiles. I agree to speak up if this isn't working for me versus pulling back, ghosting, and disappearing. And I agree to invest regular time in the process to getting to know you. Folks, 80% of people will bail on this because they want that companionship, connection, and sex, but do they want commitment? If you are not committed to commitment, this is going to be a problematic dynamic between the two of you. And I'm just simply inviting you to be more intentional in the process. And ladies, listen, I know you can just sit back. I can just sit back in my feminine energy and let the man lead. Most men are clueless. Ladies, you are in charge of your relationship destiny. Don't give that up to a man. But Jonathan, all the other dating coaches just tell me to let the man lead. If men were such good leaders in relationship, why do first marriages end at a 50% rate? 65% of second marriages and 75% of third marriages if they're such great leaders. And I know, ladies, you've been told that the problem is the feminist movement. The problem isn't the feminist movement. The problem isn't empowerment. The problem is we're acting like a bunch of children in the dating process. Is this sinking in? Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know. I'd like to hear your thoughts on what I just shared. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all.